Texas terrifies me. Texas terrifies me for a number of reasons, not the least of which is they are going into the SEC with Oklahoma in their first season, and they drew the really great schedule of the two, not just because they get to play Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma does not, but also because they get Georgia coming to them, which is going to be their toughest game on the schedule, and I'm including Texas versus Michigan in that calculus there. But that's not really the biggest reason why Texas terrifies me. Texas terrifies me because they're coming off of winning their first Big 12 championship, the last Big 12 championship they will win for the foreseeable future since 2009, making their first appearance in the college football playoff after watching Oklahoma having done that 4 times before, right? We're talking 2015, 2017, 2018, 2019, right? But all those were with Lincoln Riley. And I think Brent Venables is has Oklahoma going in the right direction. Won 10 games last year. Now it's about winning championships. But that's not the reason that Texas terrifies me, really. What terrifies me about Texas is they are becoming who Georgia was in 2017, from 2016 to 2017. They are as talented as anybody in the country. And you know this because you watch college football and you hear me talk about college football and others, and you know that every year we tell y'all that Texas is really talented and Texas is going to do these great things, and they fall short. Last year was the first time they followed through. And they got a lot of those dudes coming back, right? Quinn Ewers is going to be throwing passes to somebody not named Xavier Worthy, but one of those guys is He Is Risen catch maker Isaiah Bond. And I call him He Is Risen because, my goodness, they came back from the dead. 4th and 31 against Auburn. Jalen Milroe found him in the back of the end zone to beat Auburn, get into the SEC championship game, and then topple Georgia in that SEC championship game. He's also got C.J. Baxter back there in the backfield. Kelvin Banks is on that offensive line, and they're going to get even better at that wide receiver group as a whole, right? Say nothing of Amari Niblack, who's coming in for Tavion Sanders. Tavion Sanders was a dude last year. Amari Niblack can be a dude this year. They also got an all-slept-on edge in Trey Moore. I don't think y'all realize just how good Trey Moore was at UTSA last year. And I know it's UTSA, but Marcus Davenport was the first-round draft pick out of UTSA after he had 17 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks in 2017. Last year, Trey Moore had 17.5 tackles for loss and 14 sacks. Good Lord. So that's what Pete Kwiatkowski got back there, among other things like Anthony Hill, who I think is one of the best weak side linebackers in the sport, and he showed that last year as a true freshman. And the other reason, really the biggest reason why Texas terrifies me, they got money. They got money like they got. All right, you heard the Dave Chappelle bit about, Drake. He got FU money, and Dave Chappelle has quiet please money or quiet down money. Texas has had FU money for some time, and it feels like Steve Sarkisian finally knows what to do with all that FU money. But I put it this way, right? This is to tell you just how much Texas has been underperforming and why this shot at them feels necessary, and I'm laying it out here in July, okay? Total revenue by school, 2023, reported by USA Today. Number 1, Ohio State, $251.6 million, right? Number 2, Texas, $239.2 million. Then third is, I kid you not, Alabama, right? 4th is Michigan. 5th is Georgia. Of those teams, only one has not won a national championship in the college football playoff era. And it's them dudes that don't want Hook'em in the video game and think that Hook'em is somehow limiting and or putting them down. I'm going, y'all got to grow up, be a little less soft over there, because we just going to be doing this for the foreseeable future. I mean, it's not just Oklahoma fans. It's everybody that's going to play against Texas, mostly because it get underneath y'all's skin. And college football is mostly about getting under people's skin. Like, I understand that there's a contingent of folks that believe that college football is about winning, and it is. However, beating your rival, beating the team you hate the most because your neighbor down the street seemed to root for them, and that dude always seems to find a way to let his dog take a dump in your front yard. Yeah, that's what you really want. That's what college football is really about. Like we talk about name, image, and likeness, talk about this money, talk about this $250 million, this $250 million that we've seen some of these schools bring in. But what it's about is I need to beat that dude down the street, right? Whatever's going to get me to that. Texas' schedule, as I said, it's easier than Oklahoma's, but it ain't easy. Like, they're going to play class competition, right? They're going to get Ole Miss, LSU, Alabama. But realize that Texas has won its last 7 true road games, right? So they know how to go on the road and win. And they're going to go to Ann Arbor for the first time in 155 years of college football, and I expect them to beat Michigan on the road. We'll see what Michigan has to say about that. But it's also going to be an uphill battle for Texas, like Oklahoma, if they're trying to win an SEC championship. And I've told you, like, I'm terrified of them because I think that should be the target. Nothing less than winning the SEC championship game. That should be it. Wherever that puts you in the rankings, that's going to be 1 or 2, right? You're going to be a top seed there. And we're going to expect you to play in the national championship game if you win in what has been the best conference in football for the better part of 2 decades. Matter of fact, SEC has won 13 of the last 20 national championships, and that's not even keeping it close. But none of those have come from a new member since 1992, and it's a little bit deeper than a wrap on that. Look, since the SEC admitted new members in 1992, none of those new members, not South Carolina, not Missouri, not A&M, not Arkansas, not to our knowledge right now, Texas, Oklahoma, right, going in there, have won a conference championship. And this is interesting because Texas A&M has not been bad, for instance, right? They've just been bad in SEC play. As a matter of fact, I wrote this down because we're doing this project called the 134, where I'm ranking all 134 teams in the FBS, and it's a 20,000-word document. It's really what I've been working on for the last 6 weeks straight. Like, I've been toward the postseason of the UFL into about right now. I've been working at this thing, trying to make sure it's in good shape and make sure it's worthy of your attention when we choose to put it on foxsports.com. And I'll talk about it here across, our platforms and whatnot. But the thing that I think you should know about Texas A&M, and one of the reasons that I find them kind of interesting, is 12 years as a member of the SEC, A&M has had just 3 winning seasons in conference play, despite 11 out of 12 seasons that we would call winning seasons, and a Heisman winner in Johnny Manziel. That is not meant to just tell you that Ampersand U has been underperforming, although that is true. It is meant to tell you that winning in the SEC is not easy, and I think Kirby Smart sometimes lays it on thick, especially when they lose to a South Carolina who jacked them for the hedges a couple years ago when we were on Muschamp. Now his co-defense coordinator was head coach at South Carolina. Says it's hard to play week to week in the SEC. It is, unless you're playing Vanderbilt. And yeah, anybody can beat you unless it's Vanderbilt, because Vanderbilt ain't going to beat nobody. As a matter of fact, I kind of look at Vanderbilt and go, why y'all want to be playing FBS football? I mean, I know why. It's nice to be in the SEC, but outside of baseball, what y'all be really doing here? I don't know. Someday they might get serious about football, and then we might talk about the Commodores being somebody, but for the time being, they just kind of the rug that everybody want to go after. Like, I'm mad that we ain't got Vanderbilt the bye week on our schedule, because that's what they are. They're the bye week in the SEC, right? I think Texas is in a position where Steve Sarkisian knows how to win, knows what he needs to win, has built an offensive line and a defensive line that can get after people, which is the first thing you have to have in the SEC. He's got a quarterback in Quinn Ewers that, if he can stay healthy for a full year, could be a Heisman Trophy winner. He's got speed on the outside, Jonte Cook, Isaiah Bond. And he's got outstanding skill players everywhere else. Going in the SEC media days, that's going to be the conversation. What can Texas do in year 1? And I'm telling you, anything short of the SEC championship game is a fail in 2024.